Now in this video we'll work on Project B. Project B is much more straightforward. Project B has an initial cash outflow of $580,000, an inflow evenly throughout the first year, so we'll use a time of 0.5 or 149,630, evenly throughout the second year of $250,000, and evenly throughout the third year of $280,000. So when we write this out for Project B, we start off again with time. Our time is going to be 0, 0.5, 1.5, and 2.5. Our cash flows are minus 580,000, a positive 149,630, a positive 250, and a positive 280,000. Our factors, our discount factor. Again, my discount rate is 7.5%. We saw that given in the problem, 7.5%. We do not need the cost of debt on this one because all the cash outflows, all the cash flows in the future are positive, they're inflows, so we're going to use the cost of capital for all of the cash flows. So, of course, for time 0, the discount factor is just 1. And again, I go out 4 decimal places. That's the norm for discount factors. For the 0.5, I'll use 1 divided by 1.075, raise the time to 0.5, and that equals 0.9645. And then I have 1 divided by 1.075 raised to the 1.5. That equals 0.8972, and then 1 divided by 1.075 raised to the 2.5, and that equals 0.8346. And then I'm going to show my discounted cash flow. And we just multiply across 580,000 negative number times 1, so we have initial costs. Since that happens today, then in today's dollars, that's still $580,000. We then have 149,630 times the factor, and that gives us 144,318. Just multiply 149,630 times 0.9645. We then do $250,000 times the factor, 0.8972, and that gives us 224,300. And then the last one, we have $280,000 to multiply by 0.8346, and that equals 233,688. So our net present value, all we need to do is add the 4 numbers together, negative 580,000, 144,318, 224,300, 233,688. When we add all those together, we get a positive 22,306. That's Project A. Remember that Project B had a net present value of positive 201. So they're both acceptable. Both Project A and Project B are acceptable, but you say Project B is acceptable and it's also preferred. It's the one you will choose because its net present value of B is greater than the net present value of A. So that gives us the comparison between the two projects. The next question for Project B is, what is its profitability index? The profitability index what we do is we take the present value of all the inflows, the sum of those, and we'll divide it by the initial cost. There's 2 ways to calculate that. You can just take the initial cost plus the net present value and divide it by the initial cost. That's the easier way of doing it. Or you can add these 3 numbers together, to 144,318, to 224,300, and the 233,688, and divide that by initial cost. But when you use the initial costs in the profitability index, you ignore the negative sign and do everything in absolute terms. So you can say that it's 580,000 plus the net present value 22,306 divided by the cost, 580, and that will equal 1.04, and that means that it's acceptable. Why? Because the profitability index is greater than 1. Now we know it's going to be greater than 1 because the net present value is positive. If the net present value is positive, the profitability index will always be greater than 1. So the question, the obvious question is, then why are we bothered doing the profitability index? Remember, for this particular quiz, it doesn't really help us at all, because the main purpose of profitability index is when we're trying to compare 3 or 4 or 5 projects, we want to find some way to rank them, because not all projects have the same size. Here, this project's $580,000, but you may have a project that's much larger or much smaller, may not have the same amount of years. So the profitability index is one way to rank projects. In this case, since we only have one project, we're just doing this for academic reasons, just to remind us how to calculate the profitability index. But in practice, we don't really need to calculate it because we know it's going to be greater than 1. But go ahead and calculate it. So $580,000 cost plus a net present value divided by 580,000 gives you a profitability index of 104. You can also add these numbers together, plus the add these 4 numbers together and divide by the 580. So if you take the sum of these 3 and divide it by $580,000, you'll get the same answer, 104. I like to take the cost of the project, ignoring the negative sign, plus the net present value divided by the cost, because it's one fewer numbers that have to add up. If you look at it mathematically or algebraically, it's the same answer. So this is the second video. We've decided that project A is a better project, even though project B is the better project, even though both project A and project B are acceptable because their net present values are positive. Project A is the one we're going to select because it's the net present value. I'm sorry, project B. Sorry, I keep mixing those two up. So project B's net present value is 22,306. Project A's net present value was 201. So because 22,306 is greater than $201, we select project B. So both projects are acceptable, but we select project B because it has the higher net present value. In the next video, I'll show how to calculate the discounted payback and show how to calculate the internal rate of return.